Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Andre the Podcast. I'm Andre Lacey, and as always, I'm grateful you're here with me today. Now, if you tuned in to last week's show, you know I shared that I'm currently participating in a 21-day spiritual fast through my church, a time focused on discipline, reflection, and growing closer to God. And if you didn't catch that episode, don't worry. I want to bring you into that conversation right now. Last week, I talked about what it means to step away from routine, to challenge habits, and to intentionally create space for spiritual growth. I shared why this fast isn't just about food, but about resetting mentally, physically, and spiritually. And right now, I want to take you back to a moment from that show. Let's listen together. Now, today's show is personal, but it's also bigger than just me. Because right now, I'm participating in a 21-day fast through my church. This isn't just something I came up with on my own. This isn't just a personal challenge. This is a collective decision, a time where we as a body are choosing to step back, to refocus, to realign, and to grow spiritually together. How many of us out there, especially if you're from the South, love food? But there are even people who aren't from the South that enjoy food. But it's even more greater when you're from a Southern hospitality kind of family or upbringing, where food is kind of the core or the center. But not removing the habits that are pulling your attention away does not keep you from feeling distracted mentally and even physically. How many of you out there have actually thought about that? I must admit myself, I enjoy a good meal, but it takes an even greater sacrifice to say, you know what? I'm going to sacrifice this right now for a better purpose. And that's where this journey started. Now, let's fast forward to today. By the time you're hearing this, I'll be nearing the end of week 2 of this 21-day spiritual fast. And I'll be honest with you, this experience is starting to shift from something that felt like a challenge into something that feels more like a lifestyle adjustment. I'm becoming more centered, more grounded, and more aware of my relationship with God in ways that feel, well, real. Something truly personal and real. Now let's transition. One of the biggest things I've noticed is how much more present I've become. Present in my thoughts, present in my decisions, present in my day-to-day life. Because when you remove distractions, you start to notice what's been there all along. Moments you used to rush through, thoughts you used to ignore, times you didn't realize you were wasting. Think about that. And now, I'm actually sitting in those moments. Those moments of gratitude, those moments where I often wonder, what's next for me? Those moments where I think to myself, what is God using me for today and in life? What's my purpose? And I think that is so important to sit down in total silence and just reflect. Now let's transition. With that presence has become a deeper connection with God. Not just in a structured prayer, but in everyday moments, in stillness, in reflection, in awareness. I'm learning that growing closer to God isn't always about doing more. Sometimes it's about quieting everything else so you can actually hear Him. How many of you, myself included, have been in deep thought and you get distracted? And that deep thought can be something quite spiritual in a moment with God, and something can distract you in the moment. and you forget what you were doing or what that moment really meant. It's not easy. It happens to all of us. But I think one of the most important things that I'm learning through this journey is that it's okay to take those quiet moments and to just listen and to think and truly think about those everyday moments that God has for us that allows us to grow closer to Him. Now, let's transition again. To be real with you, this hasn't been easy. It hasn't. Because one of the biggest challenges I faced is realizing how many things in my own life have become automatic habits. Think about that for a moment. Automatic habits. And one of the clearest examples, for me anyway, is food. My. We live in a world where we can have what we want whenever we want, in the sense. No waiting, no restrictions, and no second thought. And you realize how much you might rely on that. Or in many cases, you don't realize how much you might rely on it until you intentionally step away from it. For me, that was food. Now, I'm not sitting and eating food 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or anything like that. But I can find myself, and this is something that I'm currently working on, I find myself, for example, when I'm working on something, and because I work from home now, I often have the television going in the background just to kind of have some background noise so that it isn't so quiet. And, when a show or a movie, for example, if I'm watching linear television, goes to commercial break, or even on streaming as well, they play advertisements. And many of the advertisements that they play include for restaurants, for example. And I can give you an example yesterday when I was working on putting this week's show together. I was in deep thought and a commercial played, and it just kind of took me out of my thought for a second. And it was a commercial for Olive Garden, #not sponsored, but something really sounded good. I want to say it was a lasagna or spaghetti or something. And I must admit, I wasn't really hungry or desiring for that in the moment, but it sounded good. It really sounded delicious. I thought to myself, oh my goodness, that sounds really amazing right now. How many of you have done that where even after you've eaten something, or even if you aren't hungry and you see an advertisement for something, whether that's on television, radio, social media, streaming, and you just think, ooh, that looks good, I want to try that, or ooh, what I would give right now to have that. For example, many of us have done that. And so stepping away from it hasn't been easy, but it has taught me to say, that might look good in the moment, but what will this mean later? If I was able to have that right now, what would that mean for me later? So it's okay to step away from it and step back. Think about that. Now, there have been moments during this fast where I've had to stop myself, for example, as I just stated, and say to myself, am I actually hungry, or is this just habit? And I'm sure many of us, whether we're in the middle of a fast or not, have thought to ourselves, am I really hungry, or is this just sounding good because of the way that they're describing it, or the way the picture looks, or whatever the case may be? And that question applies to more than just food. It also applies to how we spend our time, how we use our energy, and how we move through life. Because a lot of what we do every day isn't always intentional. It's automatic. I'll say that again. It isn't always intentional. It's automatic. How many of you, in the case for me, sometimes it's with food. Think, okay, I have food in my home, or I have the money or the funds to go get what I want from whatever restaurant, for example. And I'm going to go do that because I can. God has blessed me with the ability to do that. But how many of us in the moment have thought to ourselves, nah, I shouldn't do that right now? Sometimes we do it, yes. But I'm sure, as many of us do because we're human, it's easier to give in to that want or desire in many cases than it might be to just say, no, I don't need that today. And for me, that's sometimes with food. But I've gotten better. Even prior to this fast, I've gotten better. But I believe this fast has also helped me think about it even further than before. It becomes automatic. And in ways you kind of want to figure out how to make it not so automatic. All the time anyway. But here's where the shift happens, the mental shift. When you start recognizing those habits, you also start realizing you have the power to change them. You have the power to change them. And that's where I feel like I am right now. I have the power to change them. And I say that because right now, in the middle of this fast, I've thought to myself, I'm not doing this by myself. I'm doing this with a group of people from my church. We're all doing this together as a collective group of people, as a congregation, I guess you could say. A congregation of people. And I'll be honest with you, not that I give in easily to much, but it can be easier at times to think to myself, or really in general for a lot of people, I could give in to this temptation. Again, we're going to use food in this instance. It would be easier to give in because it's right there, or I have the ability to do it right now. But I'm like, no, you know what? I'm fasting right now. And when the time comes to an end for the day, for me to be able to have a meal, I can have what I have now. Right now, I'm eating a lot of fruits and veggies. And I know for a lot of people out there, fruits and veggies are good. They're good for you. A lot of us, we know that. All of us know that, I hope. But it can be easier to say, okay, I'm going to get some fruits and veggies, but I'm also going to have, this greasy fried piece of chicken, for example, and I'll add it to the meal that I'm having. Or even after the meal, for example, you have a healthy meal, healthy protein, like grilled chicken, or maybe like green beans, or maybe corn or squash or something. And then you think, okay, I'm going to go get this very, very delicious dessert. And, everything in moderation. You're supposed to enjoy life and not be miserable, but sometimes people can make it a habit every day. And not that you're wanting to judge anyone, but you do want to sometimes, in many cases, step back and think to yourself, how will this affect me in the future and not more so in the moment? Did you think about that? Enjoying the show so far? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Alive Podcast Network for just $9.99. The QR code is right here. Now, back to the show. I'm not at the finish line, but I am in a place of awareness, a place where I'm more intentional, slightly more disciplined. I'll admit I still have work to do, but I'm also more aligned than I was before I started. And I'm not sure if you can hear as I'm taping this right now, but my stomach is growling. I am actually hungry, in this moment. However, as I'm taping this, I have maybe less than 3 hours. We're approaching the next hour. And once we hit that hour, I'll have about 2 hours left before I can actually eat, for the evening, because I'm doing a 12-hour fast right now. But even in this moment, as I'm taping and my stomach is growling, I'm thinking to myself, it would be so easy after I finish taping this show to go and grab whatever. But it takes an even stronger being and a stronger ability to be able to say, that's okay. That's okay. I'm doing this for a reason. I'm doing this for a reason. So, if you're listening to this right now, whether you're fasting or not, I want to ask you something. What in your life has become so routine that you don't even question it anymore? And what would happen? What would happen if you stepped away from it, even temporarily? I'll ask that question again. What in your life has become so routine that you don't even question it anymore? And what would happen if you stepped away from it, even temporarily? Think about that. I want to hear from you. Could you, even if it was for maybe a week, for example, step away from something that you truly loved or have made a routine in your life, something that happens consistently? Could you step away from it and be okay? Would it hurt you? Could you handle struggling? Would you be okay by the end of it, or would you revert back to the same habits? For me, as I'm doing this, I've promised myself, even if it means having other people help me and hold me accountable, that I won't revert back to the same habits that I was doing prior. Now, I'm human. Mistakes happen, but you don't want to return to what you were originally doing. And in many cases, not just during a spiritual fast or a fast in general, but there are times in life where we say we don't want to return to the life that may have been or kept us in a very unhealthy or unsafe predicament. And I've promised myself I'm not going back. I'm not going to sit here and tell you all, because I wouldn't be telling you the truth. And we tell the truth here, that I'm going to stop everything overnight, or that some habits may not come back. But I will tell you this, I'm not going back to what I was prior. I'm not doing it. I've been saying that I want to get healthier, and I'm getting better than where I was this time last year. But there is still a lot of work to do, and I'm in a good place doing it. I am in such a better place doing it. And I invite all of you to give it a try yourself. Not necessarily a spiritual fast or even a fast in general, but just think about, what is something that I could step away from, even if it was temporary, to see what that habit is doing for me and what it's doing for my life. And is it helping me become better, or is it leaving me stuck in many cases? Think about that. And if you do decide to do it, I want to hear from you. And because it's so personal, send me a message. It doesn't have to be commented publicly. Send me a message. I want to hear your story, because believe it or not, we have a lot more in common habit-wise than we realize. And in many cases, having that accountability buddy or that person to listen can really be helpful. So I want to hear from you. Join the conversation. Have a story idea, topic, or guest you want featured on Andre the Podcast? Send us a message. We look forward to hearing from you. As I move toward the final stretch of these 21 days, I'm starting to understand something more clearly, though. This isn't just about what I've been giving up. It's about what I've gained. I've gained more of a relationship with God in ways that I hadn't maybe before. Think about it. How many of you want to grow your relationship with God, but you aren't sure where to start? Maybe a fast is where you can start. It'll give you more clarity, more discipline, more presence, and of course, a deeper relationship with God. It has for me. Now, it's not a guarantee that it will for you, but it definitely wouldn't hurt to try. I'm grateful for this, though. I am truly grateful. Despite my stomach growling right now, I'm grateful. Because sometimes the growth we're looking for is on the other side of the habits we're afraid to break. Think about that. It's easier to keep those habits than it is to break them. On that note, thank you for listening to Andre the Podcast. If you've been on a similar journey, or if this show made you reflect in any way, I'd love to hear from you. Because as always, this isn't just a podcast, it's a conversation. And until next time, stay grounded, stay present, and keep growing. We're all in this together. I'll see you next time. God bless you, and be encouraged.